OMG Nation. So today's episode, it's a wrestling road story, brothers. I had a member of the OMG Nation remind me that I haven't told a wrestling road story in a long time. So I'm gonna reach deep down into the archives of my professional wrestling days. And I'll tell you this, brothers and sisters, I will not change any of the names to protect the innocent, because there are no innocent people in these wrestling road stories, especially me. I was with TNA Wrestling. Look, before I get into this wrestling road story, I'm going to tell you that there's only one other person on the face of this planet that I ever told this to. That person being my old agent and good friend, Bob Ryder. And he has since passed away. So now, Bob told me that he will take that secret and story to his grave. And I'm pretty positive that he did. But now, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag. I'm going to spill the beans, so to speak, right here to the OMG Nation. The only reason I'm doing it now because I don't think it can hurt me in any way. Because someone might want to tear me limb from limb after they find out that it was me. I was the one that did it. Back in my TNA Wrestling days, we used to travel on a charter plane from here in Nashville over to Ocala, Florida, where we would have our TNA Wrestling Impact shows. Jeff Jarrett was the owner, or one of the owners at this time, of TNA Wrestling. And Jeff Jarrett decided on this plane that he was going to rip one. Let me go ahead and tell you, this may or may not be a comfortable subject for some of my viewers, but it's a true story. He decided on this plane that he was going to rip one on this plane. We're in a very small charter plane, and he was sitting towards the front of the plane, and I was a little bit before the middle. And whomever was sitting in the back, which I believe at the time it was Dirty Dutch Mantell, was sitting in the back of the plane, everyone was choking and dying because his gas smelled so awful. It was choking everybody out of the plane. Even the pilot got on the speaker and said, "Whomever flatulated on my aircraft, could you please move your seat to the outside wing?" We were all dying laughing. And so we were stuck in this plane. I think it's like maybe an hour or an hour and a half. Whoa, pull on out in front of me there, brother. I think it's like an hour and a half or so plane ride, maybe 2 hours at the most. I can't remember. It's been a long time since I've done that plane ride, but it was terrible. We're trying to we're begging to open a window. It was so bad. So after we get to Ocala, and then we come back from Ocala going back into Nashville on that same charter plane, it was a private plane, Mr. Jeff Jarrett decided to rip another one. And that one was equally disruptive to my olfactory system and to everyone else's on the plane, as we're all choking and gagging and gasping for breath, just wishing we could breathe fresh air and not the gas that spews from Jeff Jarrett's intestinal system. We're choking and dying. That, my friends, is when I started to formulate and plot my plan for the next charter trip. I don't know why I'm half into wrestling character and half not. It's like I'm losing my mind. anybody driving next to me, if they actually heard what I was saying, they were like, what in the world is this guy doing? So I thought, how can I get him back? And I thought about all the ways that I could get him back. But then every time that I came up with a plan, I realized Mr. Jarrett, Jeff Jarrett, had my career hanging in the palm of his hand. And I couldn't do anything too devious, because he could get mad and say, get out of here. So what I decided, I don't know if anyone that listens to this channel is familiar with Weider amino acids. They're like the size of my thumb. They're giant horse pills. So what I decided to do, and this was probably not the smartest thing I've ever done in my life, but I never claimed to be a genius. The night before, I decided to boil hard-boiled eggs. And I decided to take, right before I went to bed, I decided to take 3 amino acids. And then when I woke up in the morning, I think I was supposed to take 4 a day total. So when I woke up in the morning, I took 3 of those bad boys. And I also ate about 6 hard-boiled eggs. And our plane left out around 5 or 6 o'clock. And before I left, I decided that I was going to take 3 more of those bad boys. And I was going to eat 6 more hard-boiled eggs. And then I took about 6 more hard-boiled eggs with me. This is all I've eaten for almost 24 hours now. And then I decided I was going to take 3 more of those giant horse pill Joe Weider amino acids with me. And by this time, as we're sitting at the private airport, we're about to get on this private charter plane, my stomach is rumbling, baby. I mean rumbling. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I didn't think about the person that's going to be sitting beside me. Well, Mike Posey, referee Mike Posey, he refereed in TNA Wrestling for a while. He refereed in WWE for a while. He ended up being the one that sat directly beside me. I don't know if you know who Daniel Engler is. He's one of the referees in WWE right now, but I think he's the head referee in WWE right now. But he was a referee, he was the head referee in TNA Wrestling at the time. He was sitting across the aisle with Bob Ryder, my agent. In front of me was the Monster Abyss. In front of him was Jeff Jarrett and Dirty Dutch Mantell. To the right of them were the Harris brothers. And this plane was packed from the front to the back, so there were probably about maybe 40 of us on there. So between 30 and 40 of us on this plane. As we're taxiing down the runway, my stomach is really, really hurting. I'm like, I have to wait. I have to wait until we get to the air. Hold on to it, brother. Don't let it go. And here we go. We taxi down the runway. We get into the air. You know when you're on a plane and they get to cruising altitude, I believe is what they call it. And then they dim all the lights. So it's a little dark. We get up there, they dim all the lights. And I had already kind of smartened Posey up and let him know what was going on. Smarten people up is a wrestling term, and it basically means that you tell them, hey, here's what's happening. So I smarten referee Posey up, and he's the only person. Oh, I forgot, there are 2 people. I forgot about Posey knowing. So I guess Posey never told anybody else. I said, Posey, something's about to happen, brother. And whatever you do, I need you to pretend like it came from somewhere else. because I'll blame it on you. If you tell anybody it was me. We're sitting there, we go ahead and get our little blankets down because we know we're going to need them to put them over our heads. And all of a sudden, I turned my head in, and Posey turns his head, and I said, "You better act like you're asleep, brother." And all of a sudden, I drop a silent but deadly. And Mrs. OMG calls them silent but violence. And this one was guaranteed violent and deadly. And then all of a sudden, somebody on the plane goes, "Oh, good gosh, Double J, not again." And then instantly, everybody on the plane starts gasping. "Ah, this is terrible." Well, I wasn't going to be happy with one of them. I proceeded to drop bombs on this plane. And I mean that metaphorically speaking. But I was dropping them left and right. And Posey and we're still acting like, Mike Posey and I are still at this point acting like we're asleep. And then all of a sudden, everyone starts blaming Jeff Jarrett. And Jeff Jarrett jumps up and says, "It wasn't me. It wasn't me." Now remember, he's the owner of the company at this time. And he says, he starts running up and down the aisle because everybody is blaming him. Everybody's dying, laughing, choking. Hold on. All right, let me finish this story right here. All these Teslas are behind me over here. There's a Tesla dealership over there, and I guess they're parking them in this parking lot over here. But anyways, so Jeff Jarrett, he's running up and down the aisles. Who was it? Who was it? And I'm talking, he's grabbing people by the shoulder. He's grabbing folks by the shoulder, and he's going, "Was it you? Was it you? It smells over here." And he's getting closer. And about that time, Posey and I can no longer act like that we're asleep, because then people would know that we're acting like we're asleep. So I kind of started waking up. We're looking around and we're laughing with everybody else because we're dying laughing anyways. So we're laughing and we're looking. Bob Ryder looks over at me. He goes, "Was it you?" He used to call me Risky Rick. "Was it you, Risky Rick?" And I said, "Bob, who did that?" I never answered the question. Who did that? Oh my gosh, that's awful. Oh. Jeff Jarrett comes over and he grabs me. He says, "Was it you, Santel? Was it you?" He looks at me, he goes, "It smells strong over here. Was it you, Santel?" Again, I did not want to tell a story, so I said, "It smells like one of yours, like last week's. Oh, it's awful, Jeff. I can't even breathe." And he's running up there. "It wasn't me." And he goes, "When I find out who it was, and you're blaming your stinkness, nastiness on me, you're going down." He said, "You'll sleep in a hotel room full of farts." Everybody's dying laughing on the plane at this point. People are gagging and choking, and I am still dropping them. I'm ripping them and dropping them. They're all over the plane. At this point, they had gone through and recirculated through the air system, so nobody has a clue where they're coming from. We end up getting to back to the airport at Ocala. And I think we were staying in the DoubleTree Hotel at this time. I get over to the DoubleTree Hotel and my stomach is ripped to pieces. And I have to go to the restroom so bad. I am booking it to the restroom. When we get to the building, Jeff Jarrett, he starts the pre-show meeting and he's telling everybody, "This is what's going to happen on the show. This is what's going to happen tonight. This is what everybody needs to do. Here's your agent you need to talk to." And then at the very end of this meeting, Double J, he said, "And by the way, whoever it was that crapped their pants and ripped one on the private jet on the way over here, and you blamed me, when I find out who you are, I want you to know your career's over. Your career's trash, brother. You blamed me, and you stink. You smell awful. You ought to be ashamed of yourself." And everybody's dying laughing.
And I'm like, oh yeah, it was disgusting. It was disgusting. It was so disgusting. Me and Posey are just dying laughing. So Bob Ryder, God rest his soul, he took it to his grave. Mike Posey, he's never told anybody. And me, I'm letting the OMG Nation know. And Jeff, brother, if you happen to see this one, I had to get you back, but I love you. I know you might like come roll my house or something, but it was a good one, brother. If you'd have done it to someone else, you'd have been dying laughing. As a matter of fact, you did do it to me. You did it to the whole plane 2 weeks in a row. But guys, there's a wrestling road story for you. What's this person honking at? They're about to fight behind me over here. There's a wrestling road story for you. I'm sorry if you thought that was disgusting, but it was true. And I didn't change any of the names to protect the innocent because, like I said before, there are no innocent people in this story, especially me. If you have not already, hit that like button. Please consider subscribing to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Thanks for watching, everyone.
Oh! Stall.
Oh, this is recorded, by the way.
I didn't think it wasn't recorded.
Okay. Just checking.